Hi, my name is Angel Selden, and I have 4 children, ages 15, 11, 7, and 2 months. We have a new baby in our house, and I wanted to share with you guys a learning experiment I did a couple of years ago, and in my house we call it the Picasso Experiment. Being observant is one of the most important thinking tools of the world's most creative and influential people. So people like Alexander Fleming, Mozart, Steve Jobs, they all had their various strengths and weaknesses, but one thing they had in common was their observational prowess. Picasso, when he was a boy, he approached his father and said, "I want to learn how to paint." His father was an artist at the time, and his niche was in painting wildlife, particularly birds. But when Picasso approached him to teach him to learn how to paint, he said, "I recall my father saying to me, 'I am quite willing for you to become a painter, but you must not begin to paint until you are able to draw well, and that is very difficult.'" So what his dad did was he gave him a pigeon's foot that he had in the house and told him to practice drawing it, to draw it over and over and over again. And he would give him feedback each time, and he was to draw that pigeon's foot until it was to his father's satisfaction. But then Picasso said, "At last the day came when he gave me permission to go ahead and draw whatever I liked. By the time I was 15, I could do faces and figures and very large compositions, often without models, because simply by practicing on pigeon's feet, I had learned how to capture the mystery of lines, even of nudes." So researchers Robert and Michelle Root Bernstein, commenting on Picasso's experience, said that having learned to observe one thing, he had learned the keys to observing and describing everything. Artists past and present understand that manual facility is inextricably bound to observational prowess, and vice versa. Okay, now I want you to try this little observation exercise. I want you to describe the color swatches you see here. Describe what colors each of those swatches are, and pause the video, and then play it again when you're ready. So these are, believe it or not, all color swatches from the same paint color on my living room walls from a single photograph. And the reason that they look different is because of how the light, what kind of light is hitting the wall in that area, and what angle it's hitting it at, how much it's hitting it, and if it's direct or indirect light. So when we walk through a room where all the walls are painted the same color, our brains perceive the walls as all the same color, because our brains naturally filter out and simplify all the stimuli that's coming in through our senses. And that serves us, because if we were to see every detail of everything around us and every sound and scent and touch, it would be overwhelming to us. It would be mentally exhausting, and it would actually make it much more difficult for us to see the big picture, to make connections between things. It would prevent us from higher level thinking if we were constantly just perceiving all of the details of our environment. However, it is important to develop observational prowess for when we need it, and to be able to turn it on when we need to notice things and be aware of details. I actually have no aspirations to become like Picasso or to be able to draw well or paint well, but I am very passionate about how people learn and how the brain works. And so I was motivated to try imitating Picasso's method of learning, simply to see what the results would be. I wanted to know if by simply honing my observation skills, if I could improve my drawing skills. So first I want to show you, I did this experiment. Here's my first drawing. Here's my 8th drawing. Huge difference. I blew myself away. No idea that I would be able to draw that well in 8 times. Clearly I could have continued to improve my skills, but this was just an experiment. So here is how I did the experiment if you would like to do it too. And if you do it, please send me photographs of your drawings and describe what your personal experience was. First, I picked a Lego to draw because I thought it would be the simplest. I wanted something with simple lines and shapes. You can certainly pick a different object. Secondly, I observed the object. And what I did is I made sure I spent enough time observing it. At least 5 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes. Give yourself enough time. You may think that you've written down everything about that object, but you will continue to notice more things the more time you spend observing it. And make a list, write it down, everything you observe about the object. Remember, with all 5 senses, observation is not just visual. Okay, after you've done the observation exercise, just writing down everything you notice about the Lego or whatever you choose, then just draw it as accurately as you can. I repeated this experiment every other day for 14 days for a total of 8 drawings. I wouldn't wait too long. You don't have to do it exactly like that. I wouldn't wait too long between each drawing and observation exercise. I think it's also important to try to do it during the same time of day, in the same location, at the same angle, so that you're seeing all of the highlights and shadows the same way every time. So how is it possible that I improved so much so quickly? It was not because my fine motor skills improved in 8 attempts, but because I was actually seeing the objects as they fell on my retina. So there's two parts of your body there that are involved in seeing things or perceiving things, and that is for visual perception, it's your eyes are seeing, but also your brain is seeing. So after all of the light and color goes in through your eyes and onto your retina, then your brain perceives it. So what was going on is I was not improving my vision. I was not physically with my eyes seeing things that I hadn't seen before, but my brain was unaware of what my eyes were seeing the first couple of times, and then my brain started to become aware of the details of the Lego. I saw lines, shapes, shadows, highlights, details that I didn't even notice the first couple of times I did this exercise, that my brain was essentially blind to these details, and as I saw them, as they started to pop out at me, the more I looked at it, at this Lego, then I was able to draw those. I was able to recreate it on paper. So I would like to give you some examples of what did I see that in subsequent drawings that I didn't see in earlier drawings. So first of all, look at drawings 4 and 5. In drawing 4, you'll notice that I just wrote Lego on top of the cylinders. And then in drawing 5, I realized suddenly, it stood out to me, my mind noticed that the letters were actually, they were raised. The letters were white. And in fact, they were whiter than, even though the whole Lego was white, it was, the raised letters were whiter on top because of the way the light was hitting it than the surface of the cylinder or the sides of the raised letters. So I started outlining the letters because I knew that it was whiter on top. And then between drawings 5 and 6, I started seeing the shadows more clearly as they actually landed on the surface of the cylinder. And what I did is, instead of outlining Lego, I simply focused on drawing those shadows, not thinking, oh, I have to draw letters. I was simply drawing the shadows and trying to look at the shape of the shadows. And you'll notice the shape of the shadows improves with each drawing, with each attempt. Now look at drawing 6 and 7. So in drawing 6, there's no reflection of the cylinder on the surface, the top surface of the Lego. And then in drawing 7, that was when I suddenly noticed that the cylinder was reflecting down into the surface of the top of the Lego. Okay, now look at drawings 7 and 8. Specifically look at the reflection. Notice they're a different shape. In drawing 7, I thought that my brain was messing up the information that was coming in through my eyes. I thought that the reflection was supposed to go across the surface, and so I was drawing it that way. And then in the 8th drawing, I saw the actual shape of the reflection down into the surface, and I was able to draw it accurately. I absolutely believe that this is a true principle, that by honing your observation skills, you can improve how effectively and quickly you learn anything. I hope that this has been insightful for you and maybe a little bit paradigm shifting. I hope it blesses your life. Again, my name is Angel Selden, and I hope you have a great day.